This is part 4 of the Briggs & Stratton Model Y engine restoration. It's coming right along. Everything seems to be going pretty good. What I ended up doing is actually taking two of these Model Y engines, getting the best parts from both engines and making one engine. These were in pretty tough shape when I started working on them, but they've cleaned up pretty good and everything seemed to be working okay. The speed control is just this air vane governor. When the flywheel turns, the air flowing around the shroud pushes this out and shuts the throttle down. Just a very simple carburetor or mixer. This is your throttle shaft, and you can see the air vane moving back and forth. You've got adjustments here for the speed. You can tighten up this nut here, and it'll put more tension on the spring to increase the RPMs. This type of carburetor is just it's a suction feed. The fuel tank will be down here, and it just draws fuel through the bottom of the carburetor here, and there's a check valve inside the fuel tank. Now the fuel tank of course was gone or rotted away, or anyhow I didn't have a fuel tank, so I made a fuel tank for this. I'm going to mount it about right there. The check valve is just an 1/8 inch copper tube compression fitting to 1/8 inch pipe. Here's the check ball here. And what I'm going to do is drill this oversize so the check ball will seat in the bottom of this fitting. This fitting will go right here. And the fuel line will attach from here to here. The engine will draw the fuel up, and this check valve will hold it. It's a one-way valve. It goes up but not down. So it'll draw fuel up and hold it in the tube here, so the engine will continue to run. I've got the Kickstarter and everything ready to go, and seems to work okay. I've got a good hot spark. I checked that again before I put the shroud on. This tank was quite a project. I just made it out of some sheet metal, 1/2 inch pipe plug for a cap. This engine isn't going to do any work, so I suppose this will probably hold about 1/4 fuel. More than enough to run this for a while. This mixer does have a little lever here for a choke. It just closes a butterfly valve in here to choke the engine to draw more fuel in and get it started. There was probably a cable or something that hooked to this, but for what I'm going to use it for, I'm just going to leave it like that. We'll choke it to start it. When it starts running, if it starts running, then we'll push this down. There's a very simple needle valve under here to adjust the mixture. About the simplest carburetor you could ever come up with, but they work pretty well. I did a little body work on the shroud. Of course that'll set on here, something like that. to get everything lined up. And there'll be a spring that hooks here to the kickstart. Return the kickstart pedal. But it's coming along pretty good. This is the oil fill here. Fill the oil till it's level here. It takes about, a quart, maybe a little bit less. This is a crankcase breather. It's just got some packing in there and a little screen just to allow the fumes of the crankcase to come out. This engine's got pretty good compression. Of course, I've got oil in the cylinder, so it's going to be better, a little bit better than, but it should run okay. I hope it runs okay. We'll see what happens.